indigenous people. And then we will have two pieces of music, and then we will go through the readings.
Thank you. So we pause to acknowledge that most of us are meeting on Aboriginal land throughout this country of Australia, and which has been cared for by First Nations people for at least 60,000 years, with a commission from gods. So we honour their fidelity to that commission. Then we pay our respects to the elders, the past and present, and we acknowledge that their sovereignty, that love, that commitment is ongoing. Despite great tribulations, they return to the culture of education, the culture of love. And so we pay our respects and commit to treading lightly ourselves and doing our best to serve humanity with them. Thank you.
Blessed is the spot and the house and the place
Magnified be thy name, O Lord my God, that he whom all things worship and who worshipeth no one, who is the Lord of all things and is the vassal of none, who knoweth all things and is known of none. Thou didst wish to make thyself known unto men. Therefore thou didst, through a word of thy mouth, bring creation into being and fashion the universe. There is none other God but except thee, the fashioner, the creator, the almighty, the most powerful. I implore thee by this very word that hath shone forth above the horizon of thy will, to enable me to drink deep of the living waters, through which thou hast vivified the hearts of thy chosen ones, and quickened the souls of them that love thee, that I may at all times and under all conditions turn my face wholly towards thee. Thou, the God of power, of glory and bounty. No God is there beside thee, the supreme ruler, the all-glorious, the omniscient. Baha'u'llah.
Let a man's thoughts be integrated with the discipline, yoga, of constant striving. Let them not stray to anything else at all. So, by meditating on the divine all-highest person, that man to that all-highest goes. For he it is who is called the ancient seer, governor of all things yet, smaller than the small, ordainer of all, in form unthinkable, sun-coloured beyond the darkness. Let a man meditate on him as such. Bhagavad Gita.
Those who meditate with perseverance, constantly working hard at it, are the wise who experience nirvana, the ultimate freedom from chains. Don't indulge in careless behavior. Don't be the friend of sensual pleasures. He who meditates attentively attains abundant joy. From Buddhist scriptures.
And I set my face unto the Lord God to seek by prayer and supplications with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. And I prayed unto the Lord my God and made confession and said, O Lord, the great and awful God, who keepest covenant and mercy with them that love thee and keep thy commandments, we have sinned and have dealt iniquitously and have done wickedly and have rebelled and have turned aside from thy commandments and from thine ordinances. Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants the prophets that spoke in thy name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. Kesuvim writings, Daniel.
And Jesus answering saith unto them, have faith in God. For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. And when ye stand praying, forgive if ye have aught against any, that your Father also which is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses. King James Bible, Mark.
And I desire to approach the well, said Mathras, with my praise and this high lordship, with this sanctity and this exact regulation of the Ratu, and the reverential prayer for blessings spoken at the fitting hour. And I desire to approach them for the contentment and propitiation of the holy Yazards, heavenly and earthly, and for the contentment of each man's soul. The Zend Avesta, Yasna.
In the name of the merciful, in the name of the merciful and compassionate God, Alif Lam Mim, that is the book. There is no doubt therein, a guide to the pious who believe in the unseen and are steadfast in prayer, and of what we have given them, expand in alms, who believe in what is revealed to thee and what was revealed before thee, and of the hereafter they are sure. The Quran, E.H. Palmer's Surah 2, the Haifa.
Purnima.
After the manner, therefore, pray ye, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed by thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Christian Sanguine Matthews 6, 9, 13.
Intone, O my servant, the verses of God that have been received by thee, as intoned by them who have drawn nigh unto him, that the sweetness of thy melody may kindle thine own soul and attract the hearts of all men. Whoso reciteth in the privacy of his chamber the verses revealed by God, the scattering angels of the Almighty shall scatter abroad the fragments of the words uttered by his mouth, and shall cause the heart of every righteous man to throb. Though he may at first remain unaware of its effect, yet the virtue of the grace vouchsafed unto him must needs sooner or later exercise its influence upon his soul. Thus have the mysteries of the revelation of God been decreed by virtue of the will of him who is the source of power and wisdom. Baha'u'llah.
I think Gayatri is here. I now like to introduce our speaker, Reverend Pravrajika Gayatri, who Gayatri Pravrajika Gayatri is a Hindu nun of Ramakrishna order. She came to Australia in 1982 with Reverend Pravrajika Gayatriprana Mataji to start the first foreign center of Sri Sarada Math, the women wing of Ramakrishna order, and Mataji is the president of the Ramakrishna Sadra Vedanta Society of New South Wales in New South Wales and South Australia. And I know Mataji Gayatri for more than 10, 20 years, 15, 20 years. She is a humble lady. She is very knowledgeable, not only in the Hindu scriptures, but also in other religions as well, like Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Baha'i faith. She participates in many interfaith forums and panel discussion. And Gayatri gives regular talks at Vedanta Center on Sundays and also conduct discussion groups on Fridays. She also conducts meditation days and retreats at the Vedanta Hall and also at their retreat center in Robertson in the Southern Highland. She regularly travels to Adelaide twice a year and gives lectures and conduct retreats. And also the Vedanta Center is very close to where we are, and we have participated in some of the meetings held there. And I welcome Mataji. Before that, Mataji asked us to share a talk given by Swami Vivekananda at the World Parliament of Religion. So if I can ask Colin to read that first. Is it okay for we read it now, Gayatri?
Yes.
Yeah. Colin, can you please read the document on the screen, please?
Swami Vivekananda at the World Parliament of Religions at Chicago in 1893. Man is to become divine by realizing the divine. Idols or temples or churches or books are only the supports, the helps of his spiritual childhood. But on and on he must progress. He must not stop anywhere. External worship, material worship, the Hindu scriptures, is the lowest stage. Struggling to rise higher through mental prayer is the next stage, but the highest stage is when the Lord has been realized. To the Hindu, then, the whole world of religions is only a traveling, a coming up of different men and women through various conditions and circumstances to the same goal. Every religion is only the evolving of a God out of the material man, and the same God is the inspirer of all of them. Why then are there so many contradictions? They are only apparent, says the Hindu. The contradictions come from the same truths adapting itself to the varying circumstances of different natures.
Welcome, Mataji. You can start the presentation.
Thank you. As Vasanta already has said, I'm a Hindu nun of the Ramakrishna order. It was started by Swami Vivekananda, and he wanted to start a women's monastic order. That he started the Ramakrishna order in 1897, but at that time he could not start a women's monastic order, but later his dream was fulfilled in 1954 when Sri Sarada Math was started. I belong to that organization. Vedanta is the philosophy of Hinduism. Hinduism is originally known as Sanatana Dharma, the eternal religion. And it's the oldest living religion. And the Rig Veda, one of the most sacred texts of Hinduism, is composed around 10,000 BC. Literally, Vedanta means the end of the Vedas. Vedas is sacred text, contains many things, and towards the end comes the philosophical part of the whole teachings, and that is contained in the Upanishads. So Vedanta is mainly composed of the Upanishads, which gives the eternal truths. Hinduism is not a historic religion. It's not with a founder, just like Christianity or Islam, Buddhism. They have got a person who founded the religion, but Hinduism is not like that. That's why we call it the eternal religions. It's been existing. It's a contact or connection between man and God, the soul of man and reaching to God. The eternal truths are discovered by the ancient sages through their deep meditation, and they form the foundation of Hinduism. Vedanta answers the questions regarding the nature of the ultimate reality. Vedanta does not refer to it as God, because as soon as you use the term God, the picture comes to our mind of a person with name, form, or even without form, with attributes. But Vedanta is actually impersonal. It speaks of that ultimate reality without name, form, attributes also. So the Vedanta answers the questions regarding the nature of this ultimate reality, the creation, the soul and its destiny, etc. In one of the Upanishads, one of the important Upanishads, the Katha Upanishads, we find this question asked by the student. What happens after the death of the person? Some say it exists, others say it does not exist. So the student is asking the teacher for an answer to this. In another Upanishad, we see this question being asked by the student. Who directs the mind to its objects? Who directs the eyes and the ears? And these answers, these eternal truths, are not theoretical deductions, but they are the insights of the seers and sages, both men and women, in the depth of their meditation. Though ancient in their origin, these discoveries of Vedanta are in harmony with the discoveries of modern science. Even in the language of descriptions, we see that particle physics approximates the language of Vedanta. Let me briefly touch the main principles of Vedanta. The first one is the non-duality of Godhead. According to Vedanta, the ultimate reality or Godhead is non-dual. There is only one, there is no two. That's one of the many misconceptions that people have about Hinduism, that Hindus worship many gods. Hindus worship many aspects of the same God. Even God can be looked upon as impersonal, without a name, form, or any qualities. So that's only one. That's the non-duality of the Godhead. That's the first main principle of Vedanta. The second one, we can say that the soul of man is divine. Man is by nature divine. The essence of all beings and objects is the divine spirit, eternal and omnipresent. That is the true nature of human being. The next one is the unity of existence. There is unity in the midst of diversity in all that exists. In physical science, we say everything is fundamentally energy. There's no matter, there's only energy. And energy changes form, different, but it is only energy. But whether we call it light energy, electrical energy, magnetic energy, nuclear energy, energy is only one. It changes form, that's all. Again, energy is composed of electron, proton, and neutron. The difference in number of components and the way the combination makes the difference in substance causes the diversity. But basically, the same particles are there in everything. Similarly, the same universal spirit is within every being, both animate and inanimate. The fourth principle of Vedanta is the harmony of religions. The ultimate reality, which is non-dual, is thought of or understood and realized by different people in different ways, according to time, place, and cultural background. So we have different religions speaking differently about the same reality, trying to reach or realize or attain the same reality. There is the Vedic dictum, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. Truth is one. Sages call it by various names. By whatever name you call, the truth is the same. So according to Vedanta, all the different religions are valid paths to God. And it is the same God or reality addressed by different names, by different people. Like in Hinduism, we have Shiva, Krishna, Devi, and then we have Jehovah, Allah, Jesus, Father in heaven, whatever name you call, it's the same reality we are addressing. That is the Vedantic conception. To give an example, suppose there is a lake and people go and take water from that. Depending upon the place from or the country from where you come, you speak different language. So some person may say it is water. A person speaking Hindi may say it is pani. Another person may say it is jal. Another man say aqua. But that does not mean that they are different things, the same water. And if you take different vessels, say one person takes a cup and fill the water, you get the water in the shape of a cup. You take a bottle, the water is in the shape of a bottle. You take a jug, the water is in the shape of the jug. It is the same water. But in our foolishness, we fight over these, the different names and forms. It's the same reality. As such, all religions are true and should be respected. Now the question will arise, if man is divine by nature, how come that there are so many wicked people? Is God present in the murderer, in the oppressor, in the Hitler? Vedanta says yes. The divine is present, but not manifested fully. The divine is present equally in all, but not equally manifested. Divine is present, but not equally manifested. It is this difference in manifestation that causes the difference. Whether it is a rock or a plant or animal or human being, the difference is only in the manifestation. To give an example, that say a lantern. There is light inside the lantern, but if the chimney is covered by soot and dirt, no light comes out. That doesn't mean that there's no light inside. Light is inside. The flame is inside, but no light comes out. You clean the chimney more and more. As you go on cleaning the chimney, more and more light comes out. The manifestation of the divine is like that. Divine is present in all, but the manifestation is different. Vedanta also proposes that the aim of human life is to realize this divine nature. Since divinity is our true nature, there is an innate urge in us to realize it. Even with all our material wealth and comforts, why is it that we are not really happy? Why do we feel a lack, a feeling that something is lacking? Because we want to know what we really are. Why we are here? Why have we come here? What is the meaning of life? We want answers to all these questions. That means, in short, we want to realize that divinity. So Swami Vivekananda says, each soul is potentially divine. You have to remember this term, potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal. Now, how do we realize this divine nature? Is there a particular method for that? Vedanta gives 4 different paths, 4 different character types. Human beings have got different type. Our nature is different. Each one is different from other in nature. But broadly, we can be grouped into 4 groups, classified into 4 groups. Some are more active, some are more emotional, some are more intellectual, philosophical, and some people are more contemplative. So depending upon these character types, Vedanta gives 4 different paths. For those people who are active by nature, Vedanta asks them to perform unattached, unselfish action. And that will lead to the ultimate realization of your divine nature. To the emotional type, they say, follow the path of devotion to God through prayer and worship. The intellectual types are given the path of knowledge, reasoning, philosophy, and contemplatives, the path of concentration and meditation. Though we have got these 4 paths in Vedanta, they are not watertight compartments. No human being is completely active or completely emotional or completely intellectual. We are a mixture of all these nature together. So a combination or a mixture of these paths are the best to realize our divine nature. To continue with that quote from Swami Vivekananda, what I said, the goal is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal. Do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy, by one or more or all of this, and be free. That's the aim of life, be free. This is the whole of religion. Swamiji continues, Swami Vivekananda continues. Doctrines or dogmas or rituals or books or temples or forms are but secondary details. We need all these things. But they are secondary. They are not the important thing. They are not the primary things. The primary thing is to realize your divine nature and become free. The ultimate reality, according to Vedanta, is impersonal, personal. In the impersonal aspect, it is thought of as nameless, formless, attributeless entity beyond the reach of speech and mind. It is all-pervading, it's infinite. We cannot even say what it is because it is beyond our speech and mind. Something which is beyond speech and mind, how can we say what it is? All the sages have said is what it is not. So in Sanskrit, it is called neti, not this, not this. That's all we can say. We cannot say this is the ultimate reality. We can say this is not the ultimate reality. But at the same time, we need some indicators. So they have used a term, Brahman. Brahman, the ultimate reality, Brahman. And it is described as Sat Chit Ananda, existence, knowledge, bliss absolute. Existence, knowledge or consciousness, and bliss absolute. Absolute existence, absolute consciousness, or absolute awareness, absolute knowledge, absolute bliss. Now we have to remember Brahman is not the name of the reality. It is just, Brahman literally means the vast, the huge, the big, from the Sanskrit term Brihat. The term Brahman is used just like using ABC for, or XYZ for a Sanskrit, for a mathematical equation, or saying H2O for water. That does not mean by saying H2O, H2O has got no connection with water. We have given something to that. Brahman is just like that. The reality, somehow we have to indicate some indicator, some hints. So they have given that term, but it has to be experienced, it has to be realized. However, when we try to think of that infinite, we are limiting it within our mind. As soon as we think, means we are bringing it within our mind and we are limiting it. That all-pervading reality, when we are limiting by our mind, we call the personal God. Then personal God can be with a name and form and quality, or without form, but with name and qualities. Just like in Christianity and Islam, God has got name and qualities. And Hinduism, we have name, form, quality, everything is there. And since any name can be taken, any form can be taken, as I give the example of the cup and the water, taking in different vessels and water being called by different names. God can have many names, many forms. And again, according to Vedanta, whatever be the path one chooses, if the person is earnest and sincere, he or she will reach the goal. We choose the path according to our temperament and our mental and spiritual development. So we cannot say that one path or method is better or greater than the other. My path is good for me, your path is good for you. So we cannot say mine is greater than yours or mine is better than yours. No. Each has got an appeal and need for certain people, and none of them is wrong. So Swami Vivekananda says, man is traveling not from error to truth, but from lower truth to higher truth. And this idea that all paths are valid paths and no one should be forced to accept another path or religion is very important in this modern age when religious fanaticism is on the increase. Everybody should have the freedom to follow their path, whatever suits them. And we have to accept the fact that the method of practice of different religions will be different. We have different customs, different manners, different language, different way of dressing, eating food, different. So why should we have, how can we have the same method of religious worship? It will be different. It is only natural. So the watchword of Vedanta is unity in diversity. Realize that there is diversity. Accept the fact that there is diversity. There has to be a diversity. But at the same time, remember there is unity because all are going to the same goal. Even within the same religion, we see so many diversity in practices. Many of these practices are decided by our cultural background. As Swami Vivekananda said, these practices, rituals, worships, they are all secondary details that we have to remember. In the modern time, the advance of science and technology has made our world much more interconnected and interdependent than ever before. Now, along with the merits and advantages come the problems and troubles created by science. Now look at the advantage of science. We are having this meeting on the Zoom. That's a typical example. Nobody could have thought of seeing people in different parts of city or country or world sitting in our own place. A few years ago, it was impossible. Now it all has happened. That's one of the advantages, the merits. And even now with the pandemic, within less than a year, we are able to produce a vaccine for the COVID. Usually they say vaccines take years of research. Now, these are all advantages and gifts of science. At the same time, we have got a lot of problems. Now with the online comes advantages again. On the other side, we are bombarded with misinformation. Then there is the danger of nuclear weapons, biological weapons. So where is peace? By bringing in laws and rules on the national level or international level, we may not achieve real peace. We may have temporary stoppage of wars, but stopping war is not really peace. That's only the negative side. Peace is positive, some side has to be positive. That can happen only when there's a complete change in our outlook. Now, we may think, what can I do? I'm just one person. Yes. If all of us one person, we are all one person, I. There are thousands and millions and billions of eyes in the whole world. If all the eyes work together, change, make the same change in our attitude, the whole world will be changed. I'm sorry, I got going on back. Sorry about that. So it is possible. And when we learn to see the same divine present in all, then we won't be saying we and they. It will be only, there's no more us and them. No, it will be all us. Jesus said, love thy neighbor as thyself. Now, why should I not love my neighbor? I may not like my neighbor. So why should I love my neighbor? Vedanta answers, because your neighbor is yourself. My neighbor is myself. The same divine is present in me as well as in my neighbor. So if I hate or hurt another person, I am hating or hurting myself. If I love or help another person, I am loving and helping myself. We understand now, especially with this pandemic, that there is nothing called selfish health. If the whole world is not vaccinated, there is no safety. There is nothing called selfish health. There is nothing called selfish joy. If somewhere somebody is unhappy, suffering, we will be suffering. And we have to feel that. We have to expand our hearts to include more and more people into the heart, till we can embrace all. Sometimes people have this strange idea that if you love more people, your love will be diminished to your family. No. Love is one thing which goes on increasing. The more you give, the more love increases. There are three things starting with L, which increases as you go on distributing: light, learning, and love. The more you give, the more you have. So that is the goal of Vedanta, realizing the unity of all that exists. Not just humans, but also animals and plants. I'll just finish with a quote from one of the Upanishads. Isha vasam idam sarvam et kinja jagatyam jagat. In Sanskrit says, all that exists in this universe is pervaded by the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you, Gayatri, for your presentation. You have given us how we can all work together to bring about peace. That is what we are trying to achieve here. Can everybody wait till the and put, if you want anybody say anything, can you please raise your hand for your questions and wait for your turn until your name is called, please. And also, if possible, and if you have any pressing comments or questions, you can just put them on the chat as well. So thank you very much, Gayatri. And now anyone who likes to ask any questions from Gayatri or any explanation or any comments you have to give, please raise your hands. And otherwise, please keep muted, please. Sorry,
I can see Ahmad is asking questions.
Oh, sorry, go on, Ahmad, please.
Yeah, I just want to clarify something. What do you mean by divine being in every one of us? Do you mean every one of us have a spirit, or part of God is as a divine is in us? Because there are two different things. I'm just wondering if you could clarify that.
What's the first thing you said?
I think you said that every one of us is divine, is
Yes.
equally in divine, but not manifested equally.
Yes.
I just want to clarify, what do you mean by divine being in us? Do you mean every one of us has a spiritual part, or being a spiritual being, or part of God as divine is within us.
In all the in Vedanta, we have got different stages of explanation depending upon a person's idea. One thing is the Advaita Vedanta, non-dual Vedanta says everything is that Brahman, that ultimate reality. There is, so as I said, the last verse, everything is pervaded by the divine. So everything, whatever is in the universe is pervaded by the divine, within, inside, outside. So there is that part of spark of God in you, in all of us. We have to bring out that spark, that's why manifest that divinity.
If we say part of God is within us, we are making more than one God, and then unity of God is. I'm not clear on that. You know that in one sense we say oneness of God.
Let me give you an example. There is space everywhere. Now, space within this room, there's space outside this room. Space confined by the four walls, the space outside, and even where the wall is, it's also spaces there. So can we say there are so many different spaces out there? Space is only one. Space is only one. That God is only one everywhere. We are just like the walls. It can be big wall, small wall, but everywhere is only that same God is everywhere.
But you know, location is a physical thing and has no relationship with the spirit. Spirituality doesn't have location. It's beyond physics, it's metaphysics. So saying that part of God is in every one of us, in a sense, makes it saying that there is no unity in God, there are many gods. Whereas if you say God has created spirits in every one of us, and the spirits and God are metaphysical and have no location or time bonding, then that I think means more sense. That would mean that there is a unity in God, and there is also many of us that have been made as part spiritual.
I think they refer the same thing. If I may interrupt.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Mataji was giving the example, the space and the wall, not to say that the physical and spiritual thing. I think in the hidden words, in one of the hidden words, Baha'u'llah says, "O son of being, with the hands of power I made thee, with the fingers of strength I created thee. Within thee have I placed the essence of my light. Be thou content with it and seek naught else, for my work is perfect and my command is binding. Question it not, nor have a doubt thereof." So the hidden words are written as if God is talking to us directly. And then here God says, within us, he has placed the essence of his light. And that is what Mataji is trying to tell.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have any questions, Siva?
Oh, I just wanted to thank Mataji for the beautiful presentation. Though I'm from the Hindu background and I knew some of these things, and everything that you said was in complete alignment with my belief as a Baha'i. The unity and diversity, the divine in everything, and then we have to love everyone because it is divinity that we are loving. And there is a comment that someone has put, so maybe I like to read that in the chat. This is from Pangaj. He is one of our regular participants, but because he is traveling, he doesn't have the opportunity to speak. From first principle Vedanta, Godhead is non-dual. So when we ask if God is non-dual, who am I or you? Answer, non-duality reveals true nature of self. I think this is confirming what Mataji said. And I also want to say that every Friday, Mataji conducts sessions in the evening, one on Bhagavad Gita and other one on meditation. So if anyone interested, you can join.
And Jung, if you have any questions.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Thank you very much. This is the first time I listened to your principle of Vedanta. And please let me ask you 2 questions, please. The first one is the advancement of a person or anybody who want to see God. The first thing that if we read Holy Book, that's the first step, the lower stage. The second is we have to go through mental prayer, meditation. The third one is then if we're lucky, the Lord will come to us, like he revealed himself to a human person. But I'm a Catholic, so if we look into the apparition of Virgin Mary in Fatima, in France, Portugal, I mean, and they have Lourdes, and Virgin Mary appeared to the 3 separate children, teenager. And I think the only thing that attracted Virgin Mary to these young kids, because they pray the rosary. So because they pray the rosary, so Virgin Mary said, rosary is the basic step that will take her to talk to people. As I understood that. So therefore, God will reveal and choose a person to come and to be with that person. It doesn't need to go through all different stages, like first step, second step, and third step. For too many people, it's too difficult for them. But I mean, like for the advanced religious person, then that would be easy. But for the beginner, it's like a struggle, like you had to climb mountains and mountains, Everest, so you could see God. So that one question. The second question is...
Let her finish, Jung.
Okay.
You also wanted to learn Hinduism, you can learn from Mataji. You are very keen to learn about Hinduism.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let her finish first.
But maybe you have to say exactly what the question is. Can you, Jung, can you just say in one sentence what the question is?
You're muted, Jung.
My question is very simple. Like what I'm asking, I'm not compare religion to religion, like how God come to human being. What I'm asking is you say, person were born in nature is a divine. So the person were born, the manifestation is different because a different level of spiritual advancement in the previous life or current life or future life. But if God will like to come to a child, like Jesus like to come to children, and Virgin Mary appeared to the priest shepherd at teenager, was that easy for everyone to look into it because they have like very young souls, they got no idea about life? Or God will have to come to people who really, you know, like obtain enlightenment already in their earthly life?
According to our idea, we can have vision of God when you have a pure mind. And as we said earlier, that God is within us. So all we do is we remove the impurities of our mind, just like clean the chimney, so the light will shine. God is within us. We are carrying God with us all the time, everywhere. So all we have to do is remove the impurities from the mind. Those children who had the vision of Mother Mary in Fatima, we have to say they were pure. Their mind were pure. That's why they were able to see her. Though they then may not have realized who she was, but they had the vision, and later they understood from the advice of others. The same with in-laws. So we can say they were pure. If our mind is pure, then we will be able to see God. And all these different prayers and all those things that people do is only with the idea of making the mind pure. All the practices, spiritual practices the people do, the aim, we may not understand, but that is what is happening. That purifies our mind, and then God reveals himself or herself, whatever form you say. God is within us. We can just see that.
Yes, thank you. I think that coming to the same ideas that I got, that people should have pure heart.
Yes.
Well, I didn't think about pure mind, but I think about
That's
pure heart.
Yeah, that's the same.
Because, you know, God is all about love, so God comes from the heart first. And if you allow me to ask you a second question, please.
Yes.
As a life of a nun, like I already experienced the convent, you know, the boarding house of the convents, and stay with the master in France. I mean, in French, we call master means sisters. But I know the nuns still have to work, so they need to mix up with human being outside the convent. And will you ever come into struggle with the idea of discrimination and sex discrimination, you know, like racial discrimination, sex discrimination? Because as I read your history here, you run the women's wing of the order, of your order. So it's all about female and problems and everything. According to our contemporary history here, we have a lot of women movement and riots at the, you know, like meeting at the Parliament House. So I wonder if all these movement outside affect the order at all. Because as order, we do have to go under federal and state laws in governing women, whether they're in the workforce or they're not. So can you please help me to see a bit clearer in the matter? Because at the moment I know that all of us as female, we are, you know, affected more or less by the changes and amendments of the Sex Discrimination Act that are running at the moment, October. They will tell us something about it.
I wish I can say, well, actually we don't participate in the social activities, or protest and everything. We only help, do only spiritual part we take. And as I have been we are a monastic order. I should say we are the only women's monastic order which is completely independent. We don't, though we say this is the women's wing of the Ramakrishna order, as far as administration is concerned, we are completely independent. We follow the same principles, we follow the same tradition, the same philosophy, but as far as administration is concerned, we are completely independent. So I say we are the only independent women's monastic order. The Buddhists and Christians, they are all under the monks.
Yes, thank you. So you do run the empowerment of women.
No. We don't have
Okay.
anything to do with politics.
Okay, we'll go to Bayan now. Okay, Bayan, you have a question? You have to unmute yourself, Bayan.
Yes, thank you, dear. If I'm not wrong, Mataji, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, dear Mataji, for your presentation. Although I couldn't hear or see all the presentation, but what I want to ask you, you mentioned about God is within us, in every human being. And what is my question? Question is, what is the difference between like people and like Holy Krishna or Holy Buddha or Jesus Christ? What is the difference between the ordinary people or general people with those holy messengers of God?
The only difference is they have fully manifested the divinity, whereas in us it is all covered. That's the only difference.
Can you explain please more?
The presence of God is in that human. Buddha, Jesus, Krishna, they are all human beings. They had a human form, they had a human body, but the human body was just a very transparent cover for cover, and God was manifesting completely. Whereas in our case, the human body is, the cover is completely opaque. So, or not completely opaque, very little light is manifested. The divine
Right.
is, God is present just as in them, in us also, but we are not able to manifest because our, what to say, the mind or heart is not that pure. There's a lot of ignorance is there, but that's a word in Vedanta says, we don't say it is sin. We don't speak about sin, we speak about ignorance in Vedanta. Because of ignorance, we don't realize that we are divine, so we don't manifest. The moment you realize you are divine, all the ignorance is gone, the impurities are gone, then you manifest the divinity. That's the only difference.
Okay. Now, the other question is, these manifestations of God, the holy prophets of God, are they, when they're born, are they same as like any other child?
It different. If there is difference, we don't see all these about their childhood, their stories. We only hear the stories. We don't know how they behaved, but there are stories, especially in the case of Krishna. There are a lot of pranks we hear about how the child Krishna played a lot of pranks, and there are a lot of stories about him. But we don't know any about Buddha. Or only one story we know, that he saved the bird which was shot by his cousin, and he saved it, and then when the cousin demanded, he said, the bird belongs to one who gives it life, not to one who takes the life. That's the only incident I have heard about Buddha's child as a child. And Jesus, we don't know, only that he sat and discussed with the philosophers in the temple. That's all that's all we hear about. But I should imagine that they are like child, but as they grow a little, as they grow physically, as they grow older, immediately that divine will come out. Divinity will manifest.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think next question, I think Ahmed wanted to ask something.
There is another person that hasn't told 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you want?
I don't know who, I don't know who 1, 2, 3, 4 is, unless they.
Okay.
I'd like to say something, please, if you can allow me.
Can you put your name, please? Okay. Ahmed, you go on.
My name is Fatana.
Okay. Why, can you change it on the screen? So.
Sorry, I don't know how to do that.
I thought you did it last time.
No.
Okay.
Somebody else.
Okay, Fatana, you can say. You can unmute and ask your question.
I really appreciate what the Mataji said. I liked all whatever he said, wonderful, and it's very close to what I believe. Now, as she said that all these messengers of God, they are all one and they are like a different shape of the, when we put the water in the different container, they look different. Really very nice example. Now my question is that, okay, if they are all the same according to the Mataji, then how she can explain the differences that we can see in different religions? How can she kind of elaborate on that? Because these different religions, they are having different, many differences, and that's why people are mostly rely on those differences. If they are one, then how she can explain these differences? Thank you.
The differences come because of our temperament, where we are growing up. It is just like difference in dressing, eating. We don't all eat the same food. We have got our individual taste. The difference in religion is the same truth seen through different colored glass. You look at a scenery. If you look through green glass, everything looks green. If you look at through red glass, everything looks red. So the same truth seen through different glass is different religions comes and interpreted by different teachers, prophets. They interpret these ideas with their background, their understanding, their culture. It will be different.
So if I understand correctly, do you say that these differences are the choice of those manifestations? Is that right? It is choice and background of those manifestations that we are getting these differences in different religions. Is that
Yes.
what you mean?
Yes.
So don't you think in those differences, beside the choice of these manifestations, also goes with the development of the human being as well? Because when we learn about what Krishna and Buddha told us, so that increase our knowledge and increase our information about the spirituality, that also could be one of the reasons that the next messenger comes, can talk to us bigger, I don't know, can talk to us differently, because we have learned a lot from the previous one, and now we have a brighter mind and better understanding. Therefore, the next one who comes, who tell us more about things, and in addition to his choice, of the background and whatever. Do you think that we also play a part in these differences because we grow bigger and we develop more?
We develop and then we may accept different things. See, in Hinduism, we believe in reincarnation. So in one life, I may be following one particular religion and I have advanced. In the next one, maybe I may be going in different one because I have gone forward from what that particular religion has to give. There is, I cannot say this is, I got any proof for this. This is just my idea.
Yeah,
but we all are progressing.
Yes, so we are all progressing. Do you think that we have to wait to reincarnation to have a different religion, or when we hear that today there are different things, maybe we investigate and see which one is kind of more reasonable or more up to date, then we can take up that one.
I think that is, Patani, I think that is left to us. But if we could focus the question on what Mataji has given a presentation, it will be better. If we want to investigate, I think it is left to us to investigate and see. But if you have any direct questions with Mataji's presentation, please focus on that. Because if we individually have to, that is our lifetime job to do that.
Yes, that is exactly, I want to hear from Mataji that what is she thinking that, okay, it is only when we come back, we are allowed to have a different religion, or here also we can investigate and see. Because I wasn't clear, because it's very nicely she put that all these messengers are the same, it's same as the different color glass. It's really touched my heart, but I wanted to see how she explained the differences and whether these differences is purely due to the background of the messengers or has got something to do with our development as well.
We feel attracted to one particular messenger or prophet because of our mental development. So whatever we feel attracted to, we go for that. Just not that we always have to remain in the religion in which we are born. We are born in one religion, but if you feel that that is not enough for you, you go for the one where you feel comfortable.
Thank you very much. That's great. Yes, thank you.
Mataji,
Yes.
I very much enjoyed your talk because you raised a number of important things that are important for today, like oneness of mankind, world unity, equality of religion, oneness of religion, and that we have to tolerate each other and tolerate other religions in order to live harmony together. I think those things are very important for today. Otherwise, the world will be taken by chaos. The other question that I have is that in Hindu scriptures, there are many prophecies for return of Krishna. I'm wondering how you look at those scriptures. How do you interpret those scriptures for return of Krishna again? Or Shah Bahram, I think.
When Krishna says I, he does not actually mean in that particular form of Krishna. Krishna there means God, any form. Though the Hindu idea is whenever there is, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, whenever there is a need, whenever righteousness declines and evil increases in the world, then God takes a human form to re-establish righteousness. It need not be So there can be many prophets.
So do you think that do you think that, for example, Moses, Christ, Abraham, Muhammad,
Yes.
Baha'u'llah and Bob are one of those returns of
Yes.
Krishna?
Yes. Yes. Because we believe there are so many. In Christianity, they believe Jesus is the only messenger or only son of God. Whereas in Hinduism, we have all this. Everybody, all these great prophets are God coming as in a form. God men are God taking a human form.
Nisha, can you?
Hello, Mataji. Thank you so much for your wisdom on the topic of Vedanta. For most people, when we seek the path of enlightenment, it basically means like living through a spiritually orientated life while we remain fully engaged in the world. And this sometimes can be quite difficult because, the ego is always testing us, and we are always surrounded by peer pressure, and we are bombarded by social media telling us how to live our life. It even creates doubts about choices that we make. And this sometimes leads us to, either misguided attachments or confusion, or even like unrealistic expectations. How do we apply these principles of Vedanta in our daily, ever-changing modern life? That is the first part of my question. And the second part is that how do we cultivate conversations among, our social circles to apply these principles, so that there can be many eyes that will unite together to resonate to these principles?
If you are, according to Vedanta, if you are a person believing in a personal God, then one of the methods that we suggest is repetition of the name of God. Repetition of the name of God helps to concentrate our mind. It's very difficult in a world, in the midst of our daily activities, external world, career, family. It's very, very, very hard. But this is one of the methods they suggest. Try to keep the repetition of the name of God as an undercurrent. Not that you are sitting there and it's repeating it all the time, but as an undercurrent. Whenever you remember, try to repeat the name of God. Then slowly, slowly, it will become an habit, and it will go as an undercurrent within you. That is, slowly it will get connected to that divine through that. And second part is really hard because not many people will be interested. It's only among all the people in Sydney, how many people have joined for this session? So this is not for everybody. You have to really pick and choose who will be interested among your friends, in your social group. It's a really hard part.
Can I add to this?
Yep.
Mataji mentioned that generally there are 4 kinds of qualities, people, and then there are 4 ways that she mentioned. So the unselfish action, devotion, knowledge, and meditation. So these combination of these things can be the way that we want to achieve whatever we want to achieve. And when we start practicing these things, probably we will learn, we will gain more knowledge. And through meditation, we will get better insight, and then we will know how to avoid the peer pressure or the social media and the like. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bayan can.
Yes, dear Mitaji, my question is regarding reincarnation. Can you say a little bit about that?
The idea in Hinduism is when a person dies, it's only the body that dies. The physical body dies. Physical body dies, but the mind and the soul leaves the body. The soul leaves the body, taking with it the mind and all the impressions that we have collected through all the things, through our words, deeds, and actions. So sorry, thought, word, and deed, whatever we have, the impressions we have collected, all that is in our subconscious mind. So those impressions, the mind leave with the body. With the soul. The soul leaves the body, taking this mind and its impressions, and then the soul enters another body in of a set of parents, where it can work out those impressions. So our actions now, what I am doing now in this life, my words, thoughts, and deeds decide my future life, birth. So whatever I am doing, thinking, speaking, they create the impressions, good or bad. Depending upon that impressions comes my next life.
Okay, next life will be, you mean coming back to this world?
Yes.
In form of a human being?
Depends. Mostly human beings, sometimes can be human being, physical form, but by nature can be animal. Depending on if you have got collected a lot of bad impressions, then you may have a human form, but may behave like an animal.
Okay, is this idea also in Buddhism too?
In Buddhism, yeah, the idea of reincarnation is in Buddhism also.
Same, is the same, is it? Same as Hindu?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry. And we have to finish a bit early today because Mataji wakes up early morning, 4:35 o'clock for her prayers and meditation. So
I just wanted to ask that, what do you see the future of the world at this stage? And what are your solutions? Like, do you have any?
That's a very difficult question.
Yeah, the world we cannot change the world, but we can change only ourselves. We see the world according to our mind. For a child, a little baby, for everything is good because the baby does not have any evil within. So the baby sees only good. We see in the world outside what we have within us. If we have only love, we will see only love. If we have got hatred within us, we will see hatred outside. I'll tell you one funny story. A child got angry with its mother and then ran outside the backyard, which overlooks a valley, and shouted at the top of the voice, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you." And naturally, the echo came, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you." And the child thought there's another child standing on the other side and saying, "I hate you." And it shouted all the more, "You're really mean, I hate you." The child on the other side repeated the same thing, "You're really mean, I hate you." And in the end, the child ran back to mother and said, "There's a very mean child on the other side. He was saying, it hates me." He said, "He hates me." Then the mother said, why don't you try saying, I love you, and see what it says. So the child went out and said, I love you. And the child said, I love you. So what we have, we get outside. We cannot change the world. We can change only ourselves. We cannot change even our close people, our family members. Can we change them? No. We cannot change anybody. We can change only ourselves. And we cannot change other people's action. We can change how we respond to their actions. So the only solution is change ourselves. If we change ourselves, if we fill our heart with love, then we will see the whole world full of love. That does not mean that evil is not there. Evil is there. Evil will be there. It's always evil, and good and evil go together. That's they are all the two sides of the same coin. So if there is evil, if there is good, there will be evil somewhere or other. If you are pushing from one side, it goes to another side. That's all. We can never eliminate. The world is like that only. But when we see somebody suffering or some injustice, of course, it's our duty to try to help that person or help them change that situation. That's our duty.
Thank you very much. We will quickly finish with Ahmed and Siva. Because
when you look at nature, we see that, for example, give an example of butterfly. Initially, it's a worm, and it goes into a cocoon, and then it transforms itself into a butterfly, flies in a higher level than a worm. I was just wondering whether we can interpret the reincarnation as living in this world of physical world, and then die in this physical world, and then get birth in a spiritual world. Why should we limit the hand of God into just this physical world? Well, God can be so great to have many spiritual worlds after these physical worlds, and man can go through these different worlds and transform between these worlds in the form of reincarnation. I think that would be a better picture of existence than bringing us back into this world, which is only hardship and difficulties, really. It would be better not close the hand of God and say, yes, reincarnation is death in this physical world and birth into a spiritual world. What do you think about that concept?
Well, we have to become fit to reach that spiritual world. That is the aim. If you are really to reach God, we have to have that much of purity, selflessness, and spiritual development. Still then, we have to come back to this human world. When you reach that stage, straight away, of course, you can go to the spiritual world of God.
okay,
And
Siva,
that's the aim, to be free.
Okay, Siva and Nisha, and we finish with that, please.
Okay, there is a comment by Pankaj, one more. And he says, when your conversation with peers is without any agenda, greed, or intent, it will bring unity. Probably.
I think that's for Nisha's question.
Nisha's question. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Nish, do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, I like to just to remind our friends, we as a family, we started this interfaith forum to bring, to foster the the devotional characters of the society, and also to bring understanding among different religions and the unifying nature of the religions, to understand these things. And at the very beginning of the meetings, we display some sort of guidance as to how we should conduct our discussions and questions. It's Colin's. Thanks to Colin for giving me those guidance. So here we are trying to learn what other friends, their beliefs are and their religion is, and share our ideas. And so though we may, everyone believes in something and they believe because they think that that is true. Now, if we are going to, as collectively, if we are trying to find the truth, we should try to find the common things that is binding us together in our perspectives, rather than looking at the differences and focusing on and trying to prove that that difference, my view is better than your view, which actually in the talk Mataji mentioned. So let us come to this forum with this idea that we are trying to bring unity. So when there are different perspectives, we don't look at the differences and focus on and try to say, this is better than that, or my belief is better than your belief, whether directly or indirectly. We are collectively trying to understand the one reality. And I don't think that any one of us had actually found that reality. So that's also explained by Mataji today. So with that,
I think Nisha has a, Nisha, if you can be quick, please.
Thanks, Mataji, for answering my questions earlier. I don't have a question, but I just wanted to just touch on two things briefly. One is awareness, and I think that our thoughts are constantly in the future or in the past. And this is where most of us spend dwelling our lives, actually. And I think it is more important for us all to be aware in the present moment, to live in this moment and in the now, basically. And I'd like to quote Baha'u'llah when he said that, be anxiously concerned with the needs of the age ye live in. And I think this is where we should focus our energy, our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. And the second thing I'd like to touch on is to be detached, from this materialistic living, in the sense that attachment can be very limiting. So in order for us to pursue our spiritual journey, I think the concept of non-attachment is important. We can have desires, but we should be detached from the outcomes, and we should trust that the universe knows best and it will always provide the best solution. For example, in this current pandemic, I think the balance between science and religion has allowed the world to globally cooperate and find solutions so that mankind can continue to live a healthy life. That is all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert, you have anything to add?
That we see both what you said about being in the present moment and being detached, they are both stressed in the Bhagavad Gita. They give importance to that.
Okay. Anybody else want to say anything? Perumal or Sachi or?
Yeah, I have no comments. Only I would like to thank Andaji for the nice lecture. Thank you very much.
Okay, we don't have anything else. Thank you very much, Mataji and Robert.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. It was really
interesting session.
It was
Good
nice to
questions.
see all. Nice to
Thank
see all of
you.
you.
And we,
Thank you.
we had the honor of having Mataji at our home when we were celebrating
Yes.
the bicentenary of the birth of Bob. Mataji is also a member of the Women's Interfaith group, in which Vasanda is also a member. And this year is being the centenary of the ascension of Abdul Baha, Baha'u'llah's son. And I don't know, the pandemic will allow us to observe it. If that happens, probably we may be able to meet once more. And we thank Mataji for this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert and Mataji, for your, and Purnima. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Vasanta.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Ave Maria.
Thank
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
God bless you all.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.